The Golden State Warriors have been one of the most exciting teams in the last 10 years in the NBA. They consistently sell out arenas, they consistently make highlight plays, and they consistently change the dynamic of the NBA. With one of the most craziest seasons coming up that the NBA has to offer, with the in-season tournament, with all of the blockbuster trades that are going on, a lot of blockbuster free agent signings, this season could be the most important season that Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson will ever spend together. Together, these three have won 4 championships, and they have consistently showed you that they can play at a high level when you have those three on the court together. But recently, you have seen that the team has traded away one of their key pieces, and that piece is Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole was probably one of the best 6 men that the Warriors have had in a very long time. He consistently makes smart plays. He consistently can score the ball. He consistently provided a spark plug for a team who really needed it when they put their 3 best players on the bench. But Jordan Poole was recently traded for Chris Paul in a blockbuster trade that we never even seen coming at the end of this season. But what the NBA has not thought of is how dangerous could Chris Paul actually be with the Golden State Warriors? Well, the answer to that is going to be extremely dangerous. He can provide something that the Warriors never had before. He can provide support for the bench to slow the game down, to help some of the young players on the Warriors that don't play that well in their fast offense. Jonathan Kuminga is one of the key pieces that the Warriors have on their bench that can really send them to the moon. If they can get him involved, he would be an excellent young player that can play right next to Chris Paul. Kevon Looney, he plays well when the Warriors are running fast, but he's also a great half-court center. See, Kevon Looney played an excellent role for this team, and the role that he's going to play with Chris Paul on the court is going to be tremendous for the Warriors. The Warriors now have one of the most dangerous offenses, in my opinion, in the league, due to the fact that they can run the floor and play fast ball, and then they can slow it down with a point guard who can run a half-court offense. Now, CP3 isn't the best defensively. CP3 isn't the best offensively. But as a ball handler and a point guard, he is probably one of the best of all time to do it. Chris Paul is going to add something to this team that they've been missing for years. And that's someone that can really handle the ball when Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson are just running. Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson are some of the best off-ball moving players that they have within the NBA. Also, a pick-and-roll offense between Chris Paul and Andrew Wiggins would work. The only problem I see here is Draymond Green is not going to be doing as much as, handoffs as you've seen before. But it's okay because Draymond Green will set off-ball screens. He will play great defense. And maybe Draymond Green will find that confidence in himself once again. When Draymond Green is at his best on offense, the Warriors are at their best in the league. When Draymond is offensively hitting shots and he's able to be confident and go to the paint and just play in that system and be a key piece that adds something, it just makes the team better as a whole. And now that Chris Paul is there, I got a feeling like that role that Draymond played before, he doesn't have to. I feel he can be a key piece of this offense as far as backdoor cuts. He's going to have probably the most open shot attempts with anybody on the court. And that's just going to change the dynamic of this team. Now, one thing that people are not paying attention to is this kid, Lester Quinones. Lester Quinones was drafted by the Warriors, I believe, last year or the year before. And if you've been watching this kid in the G League and stay in tune with the Warriors, he looks a lot like someone that the Warriors got rid of by the name of Jordan Poole. Now, the Warriors kept this kid on his 2-way contract all of last year, but he traveled with the team and you might have seen him on the bench during the playoffs. The kid is a special talent, especially when it comes to shooting the ball. In playmaking, he reminds you just of Jordan Poole. Now, Lester Quinones used to train and practice with Jordan Poole, and then he learned a lot from him, which Jordan Poole did that with Curry before he had his breakout season. So I think this year could be that opportunity that the Warriors need in order to get Lester Quinones out of that, shell that he's probably been in. And he could be a key piece that people are not looking at right now. And, there's a lot of Twitter talk of, oh, he looks just like Jordan Poole. He's a shooter. He is. And he has some of the same moves and some of the same bag. But will he be more disciplined? Will he play better defense? Like, that is what the Warriors will need this season. And, I'm a firm believer of, you can build things. But with Curry, Clay, and Draymond getting older, it's not much time to build. And they need these players to show up right now. In a crowded West, when you have this many all-stars and you have this many good players, you're going to need these players to stand out, because you know what your stars are going to give you, but it's going to come down to which bench is better. And that's just me being honest. Warriors have also drafted Brandon Podziemski. This kid was a solid scorer for Santa Clara in college, and he got drafted from the same college that Jalen Williams came from. The reason he went there was Jalen Williams recruited him to kind of be his replacement when he went to the draft. The kid was solid. He averaged a good 21 points a game. And he's a great playmaker, in my opinion. We've seen a little bit from him in the Summer League so far, but I just don't know if it will translate to an NBA game. I don't see the kid getting too many minutes this year, with the Warriors picking up Corey Joseph, and then they picked up Chris Paul, and you have this Lester Quinones kid. Does Brandon Podziemski crack this lineup after training camp? I just don't see it. One player that not many people are fond of is another draft pick that the Warriors got by the name of Trayce Jackson Davis. He's a center from the University of Indiana, and he was a consensus All-American last year. Somehow the kid fell to the second round, and the Warriors said, well, if he's still there, we're taking him. The Warriors ended up taking this guy, and right now he's hurt, which isn't a good look for players, but it's just a baby injury, and that's why he's not playing right now in the Summer League. When the Warriors drafted this kid, the first thing he did was take to Twitter and say, you are going to regret letting me drop this late in the draft. Now, I've watched this kid play before I came on here to talk about him multiple times. The day they got drafted, a few days after that, I just wanted to see what could he add. The kid is dominant. He plays his role well. He knows how to pass the ball. He knows how to finish. He's athletic. He's quick. This is a guy who could come in after Looney, and that's just my opinion. Now, you think, okay, after Looney, so who's taking Draymond if he's coming in? Well, a lot of people might know Dario Saric. Dario Saric played for the Phoenix Suns, and he was a solid role player for them. He ended up tearing his ACL and meniscus, but he's healed since then. When all of these free agents went off the board, he was the number one free agent left, and a bunch of teams was trying to get him because he plays a huge role for teams. This type of guy is going to replace Draymond and come in and give them that spark and give them that defense, mentality that they need. And he's a great shooter. He's probably one of the better shooter big men that we've seen in this free agency. He's going to mean a lot to this team, and I think that he's going to play a huge role for the Warriors when it comes down to the playoffs. He's a great shooter. I believe he shoots over 35% from three, and I believe he plays great defense. One of the people that had the most influence of getting him on the team was Chris Paul. This is a guy who played with Chris Paul for a couple of years, and this is a guy that Chris Paul said, hey, brother, we need you. They signed him to a one-year deal, so it's probably nothing too crazy. They just want to look to see if they can compete for a championship this year. And I think he could be a big piece of that when he's running the floor with Chris Paul. See, the second unit is going to probably consist of Trayce Jackson Davis, Dario Saric, I'll say Jonathan Kuminga maybe, Chris Paul, Lester Quinones maybe. We could also go with Corey Joseph. the Warriors have gave themselves a chance to, make something here. And that second unit is going to have to be important because stars are going to compete in that first quarter. But will this second Warriors unit be able to compete with the rest of the bench in the West? My thought process on this is, okay, a lot of people are going to look at this video and say, this man is out of his mind. Have you seen what's happened to the West? Well, I have. And there is a scary team that's, a couple hours away from this Warriors team down in Phoenix. But I just don't think that team has enough. I don't feel like they will mesh. They have a all new core. They have a whole new bench. They have a new coach. They have a new staff. It's just what they were before we knew. Will they make the playoffs? Of course. Will they probably, make the second round? Of course. But will that be enough to get them over the hump and get them into the NBA Finals to compete for a championship? You have to remember that we do have a talented Los Angeles Lakers team now. And I don't see anyone being able to knock them out quick. The Warriors' goal this year should be to try and get the top seed. 1 through 3, in my opinion. If you can get 1 through 3, that'll set you up to not have to play these teams that are going to be mediocre throughout the season. I think that the Suns will be okay, but I don't know if they'll be the number 1 seed. I think the Lakers will be solid, but I don't know if they'll be the number 1 seed. This Warriors team is really going to have to pick it up when it comes to the regular season. It's going to be important with the stacked West, but I think they have what it takes with this bench, with this veteran leadership, and I think they have a young core that Chris Paul is going to develop so much. Comment below your take on what you think the Warriors would do this season. I feel as if this Warriors team can win it all, even in a stacked West. But I want to hear everyone else's opinion. I think Klay Thompson has to have a big year. Curry will give you what Curry always gives you. Draymond's going to have to step up offensively. And Chris Paul is going to run one of the best second units to ever play the game.